So I'm looking at the nationwide polls here at 5:38, and it has Kamala Harris ahead by about 4 points nationwide. But in the swing states, the battleground states, I'm looking one by one. So North Carolina, which Donald Trump had won in 2016 and 2020 in a very tight contest, is up by 0.4 percentage. Now this is 20 days prior to the voting day, and Quinnipiac University has Harris up by 3 points. But the latest one carried out by Redfield and Wilton Strategies, that is sponsored by the Telegraph newspaper, which the survey was carried between 12th and 14th of October, it has Trump and Harris tied at 47%. Georgia. So in Georgia, where Donald Trump lost the last election to Biden by about a point, and Georgia, which is demographically becoming extremely blue these days, it has Donald Trump ahead by 1.7 percentage in the aggregate poll, but the insider advantage gives Trump up by 2 points, and the Quinnipiac University has Trump up by 6 points. So I think this is going to be red this time. So go red. So the old Republicans, old conservatives are coming back in Georgia who had left. Although demography has heavily changed since Kamala Harris is not doing that well among young black voters, and also she's not doing that well with young Hispanic voters, especially men. That might be a turning point. When it comes to other states, I don't think Ohio is any problem, although there was a cliche saying that whoever wins Ohio wins the presidential election. But since Donald Trump won the Ohio in the last 2 consecutive elections, he won the presidency in 2016 but lost in 2020. This time he's up by over 7 points, I believe. Most of the polls have him up by 7 points, including the most radical left Washington Post, Marist College. They have him up by 6 and 7 points. This is 20 days prior to the elections. It's going to be a clean sweep in Ohio, and even Florida. I don't think they would be battleground states this time, although Florida was very close in 2016. This time Trump is up by 5 points 20 days prior to the elections, and since the Hispanic vote is a major issue, the Cuban Hispanics living in Florida are increasingly conservative, increasingly are Trump supporters, and because all the things that are going on in the country, Florida is sort of reacting to the woke mindset. It's also reacting to the migrant crisis in America. The others, including Arizona has, like, Trump is ahead by 1.6 points. This is 3 weeks before the election date. I mean, Trump won in 2016, lost last time in a very close and tight contest, and also very controversial circumstances. But he was not up; he was always down in Arizona, and this time he's up by 2 points, including the radical left. New York Times has him up by 5 points, and I don't think that should be a worrying cause for Arizona. Is going to be red this time. Nevada, which Donald Trump actually didn't win in both 2016 and 20, but it's a very crucial state because it's actually down by just a margin, 0.8. But that shouldn't be a worry because some of the pollsters, like the Redfield and Wilton, which I believe is more accurate, which is sponsored by the Telegraph, has him tied with Harris at 47, and so Nevada is going to be a tight contest still because you have the union issues there, and it's very close to California. It still has that liberal atmosphere there, but it also might react to all the bad things that are happening in California. So we have to just wait and watch. It's going to be very interesting in Nevada. Rest of the states, the most important state is definitely Pennsylvania, which Donald Trump won in 2016. Very surprisingly, he was down by 5 points the day before the election in all the polls, and he won very surprisingly. This time, although Harris is just marginally ahead of him by 0.7, some of the pollsters have already put him ahead. Like again, Redfield and Wilton, with the polls conducted on 8th and 9th of October, has him up by 2 points. American Pulse Research has Donald Trump up by 1 point. The radical left New York Times has him down by just 3 points, so that is not believable at all. I think it's going to be a Trump this time. Trump is definitely at the edge, although it looks like 80-20 to me, but it's a very, very crucial. Can Donald Trump flip few of the battleground states which are predominantly blue? The Minnesota, which used to be a red state back in the days, but turned blue and then red and blue. It changes every 2 decades, I believe. And here he is down in Minnesota by 6 points. Again, too early to call the last, because the aggregate shows it's 8th of, showing it's actually under 6 under 6, it's about 5.8. The aggregate conducted on 13th of October. Now, still 2 more weeks to go. It's going to be closely fought contest. We actually don't know what may happen. Minnesota is a very, very crucial state again. Again, all the things that are happening in Minnesota, the riots and everything should reflect on the ballot box, I believe. And it is increasingly becoming red, especially the interior Minnesota. But in Minnesota, I still feel that Donald Trump has not invested much time and energy. I don't think he really realizes or understands Minnesota as much as he wants to understand Michigan, Wisconsin. He's put so much energy and investment in Michigan and Wisconsin. He needs to redirect a little bit to Minnesota as well, I believe. He could have really made it big this time. He should have been tied by now. Virginia, which I think George Bush won, I guess, in 2000. Up to 2004, it was predominantly a red state, which turned out to be a blue state later on. Can the older Republicans, the conservatives who used to be Republican supporters, can they come back? Because they switched to Democrats, and last 20 years they've always been Democrats. Here, Donald Trump is down by more than 7 points. It doesn't look likely to have any impact this time, because I still feel like he's going to lose the state by 2 or 3 points. It might be very surprising if he can win it. It's very sad that Republicans have lost some of their strongholds. Should never have lost the strongholds, because it also looks like they're also losing Georgia and Cummings. Had it not been for Donald Trump, they would be losing a lot of their red states. And Republicans should actually use most diverse issues to fight for, like not just 1 or 2 issues. And actually, because Donald Trump this is his 3rd consecutive elections, he should be winning this time by easily. We should not be coming any way closer. I mean, Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, Michigan, I think is up by 1 point or something in some of the polls. Let me just check that. But the Michigan is just down by 0.8. But some of the polls are having +2 inside advantage as in +2. And in Wisconsin, he is actually is also down by just 0.7. So and some of the polls are up, like Patriot polling, insider advantage has him even. Emerson College also has him even. So I think it's going to be very, very close fought contest. Now this is 2 weeks, 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks prior to the election day, and I think things are getting much more closer. Never was Donald Trump so close in the polls in the run-up to the elections. At least 3 weeks before the election, he was trailing behind by 3 or 4, at least 5 points. So if he could win the 2016 election despite trailing so much, I don't think this time it should be any problem, unless there is something else going on.